A throw by Merton. It is a collision at the plate. And Pierzynski not only bangs into Barrett, bangs onto the plate, and here they go.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Crosstown Baseball Podcast. I'm very excited to be joined by His Holiness, Matt, wearing the White Sox Pope hat this week. I do love it. It's so amazing. It's a great giveaway, even though I'm not a White Sox fan.
I was saying to Kevin before we started that people were already offering money for these, walking back to the CTA after the game. It was quite a night and quite a giveaway, and I love it. I am not a Catholic. I am married to one, but I just love this giveaway. And so I am not parting with it.
Even though I'm not religious or a White Sox fan, I do kind of want one.
It's just, listen, as you and I have said, I know the Cubs have more celebrity fans than the White Sox, and there's a lot of great celebrity fans, but we do have a former president and now the Pope. I'm just saying that's, we might have less of them, but the stature of them is pretty high.
Yeah, the stature, when you got a president and a Pope, I feel like you can't really get above that, to be honest.
We just need the King of England, and then we're all set.
Yeah, somehow a King of England that's a baseball fan.
That's right.
That'd be hilarious. But yeah, so we do love the hats. But we have a lot to get to this week, so let's get to it as we have been off for a couple weeks. So let's start this week with the Cubs' most recent breaking news as of just like an hour or so ago. Dansby Swanson, shortstop for the Cubs, is headed to the injured list with left side discomfort. And obviously that is a big blow to the Cubs. He has been really great on defense all year. The bat has gone back and forth. It's been better as of late. He definitely has found his stride a little bit at the plate. So obviously a big loss there for the Cubs. It looks like I saw the video earlier. It looked like he swung a little bit too hard and hurt his side on the swing.
I think it's an oblique.
Could be. Yeah, it could be.
That would be out for a little bit. Scenario there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to get an MRI tomorrow is what they're saying. In the meantime, it looks like second baseman Nico Horner will slide over to play short in Dansby's absence. And then Pedro Ramirez, the rookie that recently has been doing pretty well at the plate and has been making a name for himself, who was called up from Iowa, he is going to be playing second in the absence of Dansby at short. So obviously the Cubs, the injury bug bites again. Not a great situation, but we will hopefully get Dansby back pretty soon here. But yes, he goes to the injured list with left side discomfort, MRI coming this week. So we will get a little more background on the nature of that injury coming soon here. Some other news over the past couple weeks. Kevin Costner and Clay Holmes both made their first two starts as Chicago Cubs after being acquired at the trade deadline from the Blue Jays and Mets, respectively. Gossman in his first start went 7 innings, gave up 4 hits, 2 earned, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts in what was a victory. And then in his second start, he went 4 2/3, gave up 7 hits, 6 earned runs, 1 walk on 7 strikeouts, and unfortunately got the loss in that one. So a little bit up and down so far for him, but still a pretty solid trade acquisition. Hopefully he continues to produce down the stretch as the Cubs get healthy and welcome back some other pitchers.
Can you remind me, are Gossman and Holmes purely rentals, or is there any control left?
They are both free agents at the end of the season.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they're both free agents at the end of the season, so they could be rentals. I think Gossman is definitely a rental. I think there's a chance they bring back Clay Holmes, but it obviously depends on what he does here down the stretch. In his first 2 starts, he went 4 innings, gave up 6 hits, 4 earned, 2 walks and 1 strikeout in a loss. And then in his second start, Holmes went 6 2/3, gave up 1 hit, no earned runs, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts in what was a victory. So a little bit up and down for both of them so far. So glad they traded for them. I think they're much needed right now, since we don't really know how many of our pitchers are going to come back here at the end of the season. Haven't heard Justin Steele's name much recently, so I don't really know what's going on there. Ben Brown recently played or recently threw a bullpen. So he could be coming back. He is working his way back from a neck stiffness injury, which he has had before this season. So, the Cubs relying on these trade acquisitions to really carry the brunt of the weight here as they head down the home stretch of the season. Meanwhile, looking at the bullpen, it looks like Jacob Webb has slotted into the closer role for now as Daniel Palencia continues to kind of work his way back from a recent injury. It looks like Jacob Webb he's gone 9 for 13 in save opportunities so far this season. Good enough for a 4-2 record and a 2.33 ERA and 54 innings pitched. So that's been a nice surprise for the very injured Cubs pitching staff.
How confident do you
Me,
feel with him going out in the ninth?
I mean, I've seen him definitely blow a few of these saves. He's not Daniel Palencia when he's healthy.
Well, because I was going to say, like, a 2.33 ERA is pretty good, but yeah, nine out of 13. I mean, 4 blown saves is, not great.
Not great, not great. I mean, he's the best we got right now, unfortunately. I think that's one thing they didn't really address at the trade deadline was acquiring a potential closer. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, 4 blown saves is a lot. Palencia, I think is back here now, or he will be soon. So, hopefully he can reclaim that closer role, especially as we get into the postseason. But looking at the offense, Alex Bregman, he's been red hot over the past month. The last 30 games, hitting 298, 9 homers, 26 RBI, and that includes a 3 home run, 7 RBI game at the Washington Nationals recently.
Wow.
So he went off in that game. Yeah, that was really nice to see. And he he's been looking really good. He's got a 970 OPS during that time. So that it's definitely coinciding with the Cubs, doing a little bit better here over the past month. They have struggled recently, but they've had their ups and downs all season. The offense has looked good over the past few weeks. Pitching is hit or miss still. Definitely a little bit of a concern heading into the postseason. But we'll see. They're still within striking distance of the Brewers.
I was going to say
Sitting at
five games of the Brewers is better than what they were a couple weeks ago when we recorded. So,
It is.
and the
It was
Brewers.
down to 3. It was down to 3.
Oh wow, because I know the
Yeah.
Brewers struggled for a sec, but then I think they had a good weekend.
Yeah, they did, and the Cubs struggled this weekend. So, unfortunately, they are sitting at 5 games back of the Brewers right now in the NL Central. They are 5 games ahead currently in the wild card. As I mentioned, Ben Brown, he did get transferred to the 60-day IL, but he threw that bullpen session, so it seems like it was more of a procedural thing. Daniel Palencia was sent on a rehab assignment, so he should be coming back soon. Edward Cabrera was recently activated, which means Javier Assad was sent down. A bit of a surprising move there. He's been pretty good filling in so far for the Cubs this season, but he will make his way back to Iowa for the time being. And then since our last episode, the Cubs swept the Dodgers,
Who
which
could?
was
How many other teams can say that?
Yeah, that was very surprising and awesome to see. So they swept the Dodgers. They won their makeup game versus the Blue Jays. They won 2 of 3 at both the Royals and the Nationals, but then unfortunately this past weekend they lost 2 of 3 at home against the arch rival St. Louis Cardinals. So not great heading into a big Crosstown Classic series opening up this week on Monday as the Cubs will host the Chicago White Sox.
Well.
For
We
the
meet again.
second, yes, we meet again, my dear friend. Uh, so for the second time this season, Crosstown Classic, 3 games, Monday through Wednesday at Wrigley Field. The White Sox will make their way to the north side. Should be a great series. I'm very excited for it.
I think so. Like you were saying, the Cubs struggled a little bit this weekend after being hot. The White Sox struggled a little bit last week, but then had a really good weekend. So both teams, I mean, they seem to be, you know, honestly, anything can happen. Like and I'll talk about the Sox pitching staff in a sec, because that's a big question mark right now. But like, I think it's going to be a good series. The one thing I hate about it, and I know I said this to you, is I hate weekday crosstown series games. I know the last time, like, they have one rivalry weekend, a year, and that's, for a lot of teams that's when the Yankees Mets play and all the other random teams. But like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, come on,
If
like
all those are home and homes, why don't they just do 2 of them? One in the first half of the season, one in the second half of the season.
this is just, it's lame. Like, come on,
Yeah,
I got, and I presumably Wednesday is, are there day games? Is Wednesday a day game? I assume.
I think so.
Like, I'm gonna be at work. I want to check the crosstown game. Come on.
Right, right.
But you know what? It'll be good. It's gonna be a good series. You know, and I, hope my team is blessed.
Well, just keep wearing that hat, and maybe they will be.
Well, last time I wore this hat, they lost, but I'll talk about that.
Oh God, I guess they weren't blessed that night.
No.
So the Cubs will host the White Sox, and then they will travel to Seattle to take on the American League West. No, they're not leading it, but the American League West members, Seattle Mariners.
West members.
Sorry, my bad. They will go to play the Mariners, so it should be a good series. Should be a good week. Very excited for the Crosstown Classic. I don't know what the pitching matchups are, but I mean, anytime they meet, it's just, especially when both teams are good. I'm very excited for this.
I mean, that's what, like, I mean, that's what the greatest thing about this is like, when they last met a few months ago, the White Sox were still, and I told you this, like, the White Sox were still in that, like, they're good right now, they're exciting, but like this could all fall apart any second. And they have played. So, I mean, they haven't played perfect baseball, but they are in first place, the largest lead in their division. So both teams coming in, playoff hopes alive. It's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking really quickly to see what the pitching matchups are.
So I know for the White Sox, the only confirmed pitcher we have going is tomorrow, Luis Castillo.
Oh,
Because
okay.
uh, we
He was
are
good in his first appearance with the White
in his home
Sox,
in his home debut, at
in his
least.
home
Yeah.
debut. Yeah.
Um, the pitching staff is like decimated right now. We're playing a stretch of 16 games straight.
There
It
we
would
go.
not surprise me to see someone called up like a Drew Thorpe, who has been throwing pretty well in AAA, or our opening day starting pitcher Shane Smith had a recent good AAA outing. They're also both still on the 40-man roster, so it wouldn't surprise me to see one of them get it, and maybe a bullpen day. We'll see. We just won our last bullpen day.
There you
Um,
go.
yeah. Fun fact: Sean Newcomb opened the series against the Tigers this weekend as the opener, and then just pitched 3 innings to close it today on
Oh,
Sunday.
nice.
You don't see that often.
No, you don't. Definitely not. For the Cubs, it looks like it's going to be Shota Imanaga, Kevin Gossman, and Clay Holmes going against the White Sox in that series. So we will see who the White Sox counter with in those last 2 games. They are going to throw out Luis Castillo in that first game. So it should be a good series. I'm very excited for it. And we
Absolutely.
will recap it on our next episode either later this week or next week. Once that series is over, we will discuss that.
Kevin and I pretty much said that if it's a super exciting series, we might do a special bonus episode. But if it's pretty standard or one team gets absolutely obliterated, we'll just see y'all next week.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see how it goes, but very exciting. So with that, we will finish off with the Cubs and we will turn it over to our holiness, Matthew, for our White Sox report this
Well,
week.
thank you, my son. Um, and let's start with the Pope hat. Actually, I just want to first of all, and you and I have talked about this. Like, White Sox know how to do a theme night, man. Like it is. It was a fun night, even though they lost. It was a frustrating game because the bullpen blew it. It was a fun night. I'm not a Catholic. I'm not religious, but like I could appreciate. I mean, literally, you got the you know the beer vendors like literally shouting like the Lord says drink as they're like going around trying to sell beer. It was great. Like
Were
it
they
was
really? That's
yeah,
actually
it
hilarious.
was awesome. Yeah, and like I said, people were you know asking for these hats out in the parking lot. My mom told me a story that she works at a hospital that like I think is either Catholic or was Catholic or something, and she brought it in and like they had like the priest and the sisters like taking pictures with it. Like everyone just loves this thing. It was a great giveaway. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Um, but the White Sox actually had another theme night. Or another special night a few days before because Ozzie Guillen's number 13 was retired that last weekend. I have I have thoughts on it. I like I I was too young to really know Ozzie as a player for the White Sox. I've seen his stats and and from what I can see, he was a really great player for them. But his number is being retired because he's a World Series winning manager.
Right.
Um, I'm glad it's getting retired because I'm sick of that, like taking a number out of circulation for 20 years, but not officially retiring. Because like I don't think anyone's worn 13. Um, maybe like one person, but like it's been like unofficially retired for a long time. So I'm like, just get it over with. It's fine.
Right.
But you know what? He's the one who brought a World Series, you know, to the city for the first time since 1917. Like it is special, and he was great in his time. I think he would still be a good manager. He's probably just like he has a lot of other problems. Obviously, I was really happy when he didn't. There was a lot of rumors before Pedro Grafal was hired that they might have been. I think it was confirmed he got an interview, Ozzy, and I was really hoping he wasn't going to get it, and I'm thankful he didn't. But also, then Pedro Grafal sucks, so who knows? Um,
Yeah.
so good for him, happy for him. It seemed to be a really fun day. There was a lot of 2005 people there. Notably, Kenny Williams was not there, so who knows
You
how
mean
they
he
were
didn't
really.
want to bask in the glory of Ozzy?
No, I guess not. So, it's nice for Ozzy to have the last laugh there a little bit. Um, and then another blast from the past that's happening. Well, that's happening next month. Tim Anderson has officially retired from baseball. Um, it's sad. There's a lot of highlights this last week because it's the 5-year anniversary of the Field of Dreams game, the walk off, and it is really hard to believe how quickly he fell off. And you and I have talked about it a lot, how quickly that entire 2021 White Sox team fell off.
Well, yes, you're right. But in the case of Tim Anderson, that fight with Jose Ramirez like broke him.
Well, okay, lots of people say that, and it's fun to say. The reality is that he was having an affair and I think had a baby with, someone else. And I know that was really distracting for him.
Uh,
His downfall was happening before that fight. The fight didn't help,
yeah.
but um, it's sad. He was such. I mean, for those 3 to 4 years of his dominance, he was like the most exciting player to watch, and like I loved his approach to the game. I loved his defense, his offense, everything. So I'm happy he's retiring. I mean, he literally said he's retiring because he does not get joy from baseball anymore. He wants to do other things with his life, and you have to respect that. We are going to honor him in September. We're going to wear in my opinion, the superior White Sox City Connect jerseys for one day. Nothing against the Bulls ones, by the way. I just think the Southside ones are the best City Connects that were ever released.
Those are so sweet. Those are the best.
Yeah. So I'm happy to see them at least one more time. I kind of hope we bring them back in regular rotation at some point, but it'll be nice to see him. But it's just anything to remind me of like the 2021 team and the core there just makes me sad. It makes me sad because I think Tim Anderson and even like a Jose Abreu were kind of propped up into these leadership roles that they probably like weren't fully equipped for because they had a senile old manager in Tony La Russa.
Did you see him at the Field of Dreams game?
No.
Oh my God, he looks old.
Well,
He looks really old.
I know he was sick for a while too, and everything, but and I guess he still technically works in the White Sox front office, which scares the hell out of me.
You know that he's not doing much and he's just collecting a paycheck.
God, I can only hope so, Kevin. I can only hope so. But I just
he's just posted up at the Shy Sox Bar and Grill.
Oh, if only we all were right now. Anyway, enough talking about the past. Congrats to Ozzie. Congrats to Tim Anderson on a nice little career that and I'm excited that we get to honor him next month. Let's talk about the current, the now, because that's actually exciting. A couple players are doing pretty well right now. Chase Meredith, who kind of had an up and down season, is really producing. 16 hits, a 971 OPS in his last 15 games. He's had a couple of really big moments too. Can play defense, pretty much everywhere. Like it, really great sign there. And then Murakami's returning to form, thankfully. 12 hits, 852 OPS in his last 13 games. Hit a couple big home runs recently. Like that's really, really good to see. Okay, now the not so good, Kevin. You remember? I'm going to go back to. I guess I have to go back to Tony La Russa for a second. But you remember the him intentionally walking a couple people on a 1-2 count, right?
Yes. I do.
That was probably okay, that's the dumbest move I'll see from a White Sox manager this decade. No, it wasn't. And it's actually from someone who is probably going to be manager of the year, or at least in the top two. Will Venable, the day after this insane game against the Red Sox. By the way, that game, we were swept in Boston, and the Red Sox were still on a really big hot streak there. First of all, it was a evening game on a getaway day, which I don't really understand. I think it's something to do with flights less than 2.5 hours. The bullpen was absolutely destroyed that day. So the next day, you really want Noah Schultz to get through at least 5 innings. Noah Schultz struggles in the first inning. Pitching coach comes out, continues to struggle. Venable comes out to talk to him again, forgetting that his pitching coach had already come out. And so if 2 mound visits happen in an inning, the pitcher must be swapped. So Venable was forced to go to the bullpen, only 1 out into the game, something like that. Mm-hmm. That was crazy. I want to believe the conspiracy that he just wanted to get Schultz out of there, but keep his confidence up or something. No, I think it was a mistake. And I will say this about Will Venable, even compared to the Tony La Russa thing, because La Russa, when kind of questioned about walking guys on a 1-2 count, would defend himself, blah, 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 blah. Venable immediately was that was the dumbest thing I've ever done. I take full responsibility. I am ashamed. It's going to keep me up at night. And I'm gotta respect that. I I like that answer. But boy, that was really frustrating and confusing to see from a Sox fan's perspective, because that, like, doing that anytime would be bad. Doing it the day after the bullpen is absolutely depleted was just, I couldn't believe what was happening.
I forgot that that was a rule, to be completely honest,
Well, so did Will
until I saw
Venable,
that.
Kevin.
Yeah, guess we're in the same boat.
Yeah, but you're not a major league manager.
Yeah, that's why.
So that was wild. Other unfortunate news. So Noah Schultz was optioned to AAA like right after that game, and he needed to go down. This was supposed to be another development year for the White Sox. Now that they're actually in contention, you just can't afford to send him out there every 5 days. I think he's going to be fine. His stuff is really good. He just needs to get his control under control. And we also had I don't know what your favorite part of the Joey Bart White Sox era was, Kevin. For his whole 3 games, but Joey Bart in his 3rd game with the White Sox was hit in the hand and sent to the IL. So when Joey Bart was acquired, Edgar Caro was sent down, and Drew Romo, who they can't really hit, but seems to have better defense, and the pitching staff must like throwing to him. He was kept. So Joey Bart went on the IL. Caro was called back up. Boston designated their catcher Jake Rogers for assignment, and the White Sox picked him up, and so Caro was demoted yet again. It's unfortunate because I think Caro was actually starting to hit the ball pretty well, but I think it's more of a defense thing, and I think the pitchers clearly just prefer throwing to Romo, and Jake Rogers is also a very good defensive catcher. So I like that move a lot. Also a former Detroit Tiger, so he knows that staff really well. And then, well, what do you know? The White Sox swept the Tigers this weekend. We did put Davis Martin on the IL. Did you see the him being ejected from the Reds game a few days back?
Yes, I did
Um,
see that. That was questionable at best.
I,
The
listen,
ball slipped
twice, and listen,
twice.
Martin has been bad the last month, 2 months now. Um, I just I don't understand how an umpire can come to the conclusion that someone was, throwing intentionally after, with a 1-run lead. I just don't see it. And so that was kind of crazy to me. Then it turned out he had a blister on his finger, and that's what sent him to the IL. And honestly, it comes with good timing. He needs an IL. He needs a little rest. So I think he has really good stuff. I think he's going to be fine. But that was stupid and crazy. And people were saying if Hawk Harrelson was still calling Sox games, Hawk would be having major words for those umpires.
Oh, I'm sure. It would
Yeah.
be another "What are you doing, Wagner" moment.
Yeah. So with that sweep of the Tigers this weekend, so first, since our last recording, we were swept in Boston. We then won 2 out of 3 against the Guardians, which was huge. We lost 2 of 3 against the Reds, including Pope Night. So, not great for, the Catholic faith there. And then we swept the Tigers. So we have our biggest lead of the Central this season. We are 5.5 games of the Tigers in the AL Central, which I think it's the Tigers, Guardians, and Twins all at the same record. Unless
Yeah,
somebody
they're
lost or
close.
won
I think
today.
the Tigers are like a half game ahead of the other two.
Yeah, so we got to be feeling pretty good right now. Still a lot of baseball left to play, but that was a really big statement to go into Detroit and sweep that team, because the Tigers were playing pretty good baseball. But I mean, after trading Tarek Skubal and Casey Mize, like you can't expect to contend after trading your 2 best starting pitchers away. Like, it's just so. I think this was. I think I saw Bob Nightingale post after the game is like the White Sox just swept the Tigers' playoff dreams away. And again, there's a lot of baseball. 5.5 games is not a humongous lead, but I just don't think they have the talent to make the postseason. Now let's talk about the far future, Kevin. Justin Ishaba is hard at work still. He has been awarded federal funds, or no, sorry, Amtrak was awarded federal funds to relocate their maintenance facility because Justin Ishaba is buying that train yard at 14th Street.
Two of them.
Right.
There's actually two rail yards there, and he's buying
There's
both of
two of
them.
them because he has to buy one. He has to because they have to relocate one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no stadium talk yet about that. Amtrak yard across from the 78. I think they're talking about a medical facility and stuff like that there. But it just buried, I think, deep in one of the reports I was reading was some sort of speculation that like everyone knows this is where the White Sox stadium would go.
Yeah,
And
it's pretty obvious.
yeah, and I think it's going to happen. I think while Jerry Reinsdorf is still running this team for some reason, Ishaba is working behind the scenes to get this done. And I think if they can put this new stadium, across from the 78, across from where the Chicago Fire are going to put their stadium, I think it's just going to be so beautiful.
It works out better for them. They get a better view of the skyline now
I know
in the outfield.
it's going to be. I mean it can theoretically rival like PNC and those types of stadiums with because I mean you and I both agree. I think Chicago just has the most beautiful skyline, in the country. And I know we're biased, but like I feel like I'm well traveled enough to like, and I feel like I would admit being to myself if I saw a skyline, I'm like, oh, that's more impressive. Like, listen, New York has the vastness and everything, but I just think Chicago has this like incredible architecture and I don't know, like character that
Yeah.
a baseball stadium facing that would just unlock. It would just be so beautiful.
And that's the biggest mistake that they made with Rate Field is like it faces the wrong way.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I'll say Rate Field when it eventually goes away. Like I think it is a wonderful place to see a game. They have made so many great improvements to it, but this is I am really hoping for this South Loop Stadium.
Yeah.
And Ishaba is definitely trying.
He is.
Uh,
Yep,
yeah.
agreed.
So yeah, this week, starting Monday, we are at Wrigley. So it is technically a road game, but this is like that nice stretch where like after Detroit, we return to Chicago. So the players are technically home, even though we are on the road playing the Cubs. So we are playing 3 games at Wrigley. We have a makeup game against the Braves on Thursday, and then we host the Mets for the weekend. You know, tough schedule. The Mets are not great, but they also occasionally can show, they're not pushovers either. So we'll see. I like we said, I'm very excited for this Crosstown series. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think it's going to be competitive. And I just wish it was a weekend because I think more people would turn out for it and care.
Yeah.
But you and I will care and be paying attention, I'm sure.
I mean, that's what baseball needs to emphasize these marquee matchups when they have
Mhm.
them. And I think putting it on the weekend just makes so much more sense. I mean, they only play twice a year.
Yeah, come on now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very excited. But yeah, that is it for the Southsiders. It's been a holy weekend for them.
Well, thank you for blessing us with that knowledge, your holiness. And so now we'll move on to MLB as a whole. So taking a look around the league, the NL wild card is still an extremely tight race. 3.5 games separating 5 teams, which includes the Diamondbacks, the Padres, the Phillies, the Marlins, and the Cardinals. So a very tight race there. I think the wild card races are going to be the most exciting to watch down the stretch as we get to the end of the season here. But certainly a lot going on in the National League wild card race. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then looking at the American League wild card race, there are 6 teams within 3 games of the final AL wild card spot.
Crazy.
That is currently held by the Orioles, and they are followed up by the Rangers, the Blue Jays, the Tigers, the Twins, the Guardians, and the Mariners,
It's
all within 3 games.
it's wild, dude. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this.
I cannot remember a wild card race that has been bunched so tight, even with the three wild card spots.
Well, and especially in the AL, as we've talked about all season, it's just that there's a lot of those teams are under 500,
Yeah.
and like and they're at
I
that playoff
think
spot.
this is a reflection of that. I don't think it's that the AL is really good. I think this is like the AL is not good, and
Right.
and this is the effect is that you have so many teams that are still in it, and it's so close at the final wild card spot.
Someone
So
said today that like it's gonna be one of these random teams that just squeak over 500, and they'll get into the ALCS and some utility man's gonna be hitting 600, and that's why they're like it's baseball's so unpredictable. It's
yeah.
crazy, and that's what we love about
Ba-
it. But
I think baseball is the streakiest of the sports.
uh-huh,
Like if you're just hot at the right time, like you can win it all potentially, even if you're
absolutely.
not the best team.
Yeah.
So those will be fun to watch. A note from one of the Cubs games this past weekend, Joshua Baez, who made his debut with the Cardinals, hit three home runs in his first three career at-bats at Wrigley Field. He is the first player in baseball history to accomplish the feat. Obviously, it's something you don't see every day or ever. Very exciting for him. Was not so great as a Cubs fan to be on the other side of that, and was very disappointing. But obviously, really good for him to see that success immediately upon being called up to the show. Some other notes from around the league. Sad note, Tommy John passed away earlier today. If you recognize that name, you probably recognize it because of the medical procedure that is named after him, Tommy John surgery. A really critical tool for pitchers and getting them back onto the mound has saved the careers of many pitchers over the years. There are currently two Cubs pitchers, three actually, now that I think about it, working their way back from Tommy John surgery as we speak. So, very sad to see that. And Tommy John, in his own right, as a player, was a very good pitcher. He
Absolutely.
finished his career with 288 wins. I'm kind of surprised he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Uh,
someone pointed that out today. I kind of just assumed he was, and I mean he's going to make it on the Veterans Committee at some point, especially now that
yeah.
he's gone. But I read something very beautiful about him today, which was in Judaism, when one dies, they say you die twice. They say you die once when you really die, and once when your name is spoken for the last time. And Tommy John is always going to have his name spoken.
Hmm.
And that's like a, that's a, it's a, he was, I know he didn't do the surgery, but agreeing to it and being kind of the pioneer and the guinea pig for something that has, you know, you know, really impacted the game for decades now. I mean, that's something. So yeah, very, very sad. And former White Sox player too, I might add.
Yeah, absolutely. And he should get into the Hall of Fame at some point. It's a shame that it didn't happen while he was alive, but when you consider his career on the field, which I would say was pretty solid, reaching almost 300, it's a shame. If he reached 300 wins, he would be in the Hall of Fame.
I know, and it's like you have to just think like sometimes when you think of those arbitrary numbers, and yeah, you and I talked about when we were talking about Mr. 3000, like what's the difference of 12 wins at that point? Because there's at least 100 starts that he had he had no decisions on, and he must have pitched an amazing game, but his defense fell apart or the bullpen blew it or something.
Right.
So it's a shame.
It is a shame, yeah. When you consider that and his contributions with the surgery, you really could make a good case for him. So all of our thoughts go out to his loved ones as Tommy John passes away. Some other notes from around the league. Blake Snell has been activated from the 60-day IL by the Dodgers. Adley Rutschman activated from the 10-day IL by the Red Sox and has made his debut with his new team. In a corresponding roster move, they got rid of Jake Rogers, who went on to sign with the White Sox. He was
Yes.
actually acquired in that trade as like a temporary catcher,
I saw.
essentially.
So no, I'm happy to have Rogers because when Bart went down, we're like, okay, I guess we just don't have a new catcher. So yeah, thanks, Red Sox.
Yeah, absolutely. The Pirates sent out O'Neal Cruz on a rehab assignment, so he should be back pretty soon. And one final note, former Cub and White Sox closer Craig Kimbrell signed with his 12th MLB team. He signed with the Kansas City Royals. If you're wondering, the record is 14 teams. So he is approaching most teams played for.
I'm really surprised how many, because like you think of that, you think of like Octavio Dotel or Edwin Jackson or Rich Hill, right? Craig Kimbrell, I still think of as an Atlanta Brave. And I know he had some time on the Red Sox before coming to the Cubs and White Sox too. But because it's really just been the last 5 years where he's really bounced around, it seems.
Now I gotta look this up because I'm genuinely curious. Let me see.
Because
So let me
yeah,
let
like,
me go
and
to
I
the
guess
Royals.
I guess he was also with the Padres. So it's like I just don't think of him the same way I think of like the Dotels and the Edwin Jacksons. But I guess
I'm really surprised that he's still trying to hang on. Like he's clearly not the same guy.
I mean the White Sox literally knocked him off in Tampa, and like we roughed him up, and Tampa DFA'd him the next day.
So let's see. He's 38 years old at this point.
That's
Man,
almost us, Kevin. We're
he
getting there.
debuted in I know, he debuted in 2010. So let's see. He was on Atlanta from 2010 to 2014, then the Padres in 2015. Then the Red Sox for 3 years from 2016 to 2018. Then the Cubs in 2019, 2020, and part of 2021. Then the White Sox finishing 2021. And then now, like Dodgers in 22, Phillies in 23, Orioles in 24, Braves and Astros in 25. And now this year, it's been the Mets, the Rays, and the Royals.
I actually had no idea he started with the Mets this year. That's great. So yeah, it's really just been since he was traded from the Cubs to the White Sox that now he's been bouncing around because he did have like like longevity on like his early teams.
Yeah, he
Um,
did.
but all right, good for you, Craig. I hope you can get it again, but
Maybe he'll get that record. He just needs two more.
do more. It can happen.
It can happen. We'll see what happens. So now we'll turn to our baseball at the movies segment for this week. And this week we are looking at another Kevin Costner baseball movie. And that movie, Your Holiness, is For Love of the Game. For Love of the Game was released in 1999. It stars Kevin Costner as Billy Chapel, the late Kelly Preston as Jane Aubrey, John C. Riley from Talladega Nights fame as Gus Sinsky, Brian Cox of Succession fame as Gary Wheeler, and J.K. Simmons of Spider-Man fame as Frank Perry. The synopsis of this movie, 40-year-old pitcher Billy Chapo, played by Kevin Costner, is practically a dinosaur by professional baseball standards, fast approaching the end of his career. But as Chapo stands on the mound pitching the game of his life, his thoughts don't turn to his prized history in sports, but rather return again and again to his tumultuous relationship with Jane Aubrey, played by Kelly Preston. A single mom who has stood at his side through the good and the bad, but is now on the verge of leaving him. A fun fact from this movie, according to Kevin Costner, Yankees owner George Steinbrenner was becoming agitated that the Yankees would be seen losing in a movie filmed on location at Yankee Stadium. Costner said he was able to calm Steinbrenner down by explaining that Billy Chapel, and not necessarily the game itself, was the movie's major focus. Costner also explained that the game would mean nothing to the Yankees and that it wasn't played as a winner-take-all scenario. Costner convinced Steinbrenner that in the movie's universe, the Yankees would clinch the AL East division the next day, keeping alive their World Series chances. Costner said that he later received a Yankees 1999 World Series ring as a thank you gift from Steinbrenner.
That's really cool.
That is cool. I like that. And according to Rotten Tomatoes, this film received a 47% critic score and a 75% audience score.
I have another fun fact
Yeah.
because and literally it was after I had watched this movie already for this podcast, but I was listening to I listen to. It's on the Ringer Network, and they have a podcast called The Rewatchables. And I forgot what movie they were talking about, but they were talking about the worst athletes in sports movies. And there was a story from someone who was an extra at Yankee Stadium filming this movie that John C. Reilly, who is great in this movie as an actor, but John C. Reilly could not catch and like could not throw the ball back to them, like could not really physically play his part as the catcher for the Tigers. And so the story is that like they kept having to like refilm shots and like go back and everything, and I guess Riley got really frustrated and the crowd was like booing him or something like that, and then they eventually just had to get like a double in there for like the wide shots of him catching.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really, really funny because I think he's really good in this movie, so I understand why Sam Raimi wanted to cast him in that. But whereas Kevin Costner is a really convincing, major league pitcher, John C. Reilly, I guess, could not really convincingly be a major league catcher.
Oh, interesting. I did not know that, but I can believe it, honestly.
Yeah.
This movie is okay. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites. It's definitely one of those films where I'd say, as we've discussed before, where baseball is the vehicle for the story. It's not really like it is a baseball movie, but it's not a baseball movie. It's a romance movie with baseball as like the subplot, in my opinion.
Yeah, and as you and I have said, like when that happens, when baseball is used as kind of the backdrop for another type of movie, that's usually a good thing. Unfortunately, with this movie, I just didn't think the romance plot was great. I just
No.
like I really just wanted to get back to the perfect game.
Right, exactly. That's the only part I cared about too. And like
Um,
I think, and forgive me if I'm wrong here, but I think they made a mistake by casting Kevin Costner because let's just say this movie stars somebody else. He did a great job as Billy Chapel. He played the part well. However, the problem that you have when you put Kevin Costner in this movie is that you're automatically going to compare it to his other two baseball movies, Field of Dreams and Bull Durham. And that's what I find myself doing. Like when you look at this movie compared to those two, I think this one is easily the worst of the three.
100%.
Yeah, like Bull Durham and Field of Dreams are classics, I would say. And I don't really love Bull Durham that much, but I definitely think it's like a good baseball movie and like, it's more of a baseball movie than this is.
So just and number one is I think the reason they cast Costner or that Costner was attracted to it, it's like, oh, we want people who are nostalgic for the Kevin Costner baseball movies to come and spend their money. The original director for this movie was supposed to be Sidney Pollack, and Tom Cruise was cast as Billy Chapel.
Oh,
When that
interesting.
did not happen, and it's what swung to Sam Raimi, that's when it started happening with Costner. Um, I don't really think it must have been a different movie because 90s Tom Cruise is younger than Costner, so it really couldn't really be about an aging pitcher. So I
Right.
don't really know what. I'm sure there was different variations of the script around. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Kevin. Like, and number one, yeah, like out of the three, I mean, I think I like Bull Durham more than you, but of course, Field of Dreams is an all timer. But this just does not compare. I think the positives are the cast is really good. I think Costner is really good. I think J.K. Simmons is really great as a manager. Like I said, I think John C. Reilly is great. I think there's some good cinematography. I think, I think a lot of the messaging helps and it works, and Costner sells it really well. I just think it's kind of all over the place, though. I think it doesn't when you're doing a movie that has a consistent like present day story and then sprinkled with flashbacks. they need to be edited really well together. This would just kind of like start flashing back at a weird time. You know what I mean? It just like it just wasn't the most coherent.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it. I think it's enjoyable, and I think the end where he gets the perfect game is really really good.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't know. It didn't do a lot for me. This is only my second time ever seeing it. I remember thinking this the first time too, and I was kind of hoping I would like it more, and I just didn't.
Yeah, it's just one of those that like it's okay. It's nothing super special to
Yeah,
me.
but it has
Um,
it has a great cast. It's got a really good director, so it's just the script and the editing kind of let them down.
what would you give it in terms of your Italian beef rating?
I'm trying to like be nice about it, but I like shouldn't be. I should just like go with my gut that's filled with
Uh,
2.5 Italian beefs. I,
2.5.
I like
Wow.
I this might be out of the ones we've viewed because like nothing's more like you and I have viewed like stupid movies, bad movies that like but we can have a lot of fun with them. This is just so mediocre that I just can't have fun with it at all. Like
It
it's
it
not.
like it had so much potential, I
Yeah, and
think.
that's what it's frustrating. It's there's a
Yeah.
really good movie in there somewhere, and it's just not. It just wasn't this. So I'll give I'll give it like a half of our beef. So I'm giving it 2.5 because it's very middle of the road. It's very
Yeah.
average. I give it a
Yeah.
C pretty much.
I would give it two, honestly.
Wow.
Like yeah, it's like a C minus for me. It's just not a movie that like I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to watch for love of the game because I haven't watched it in a long time.
I'm
Like,
probably never gonna watch it again, honestly.
yeah, like that's the thing. Like me too. I probably don't really care to watch this movie. And I did watch it a good amount like growing up, but I think just because it had baseball in it.
Sure.
I don't think I necessarily watched it like for the story. I think I just liked it because like it had baseball. That's been like the interesting thing rewatching some of these movies. Like when we did Rookie of the Year and I was like, yeah, like this movie isn't that good, but it has the Cubs, so I think that's what like skewed my
But
view
that's
of it
but
as a
that's but
child.
that's a good example because like Rookie of the Year, as you and I've talked, it's like it's not a good movie, quote unquote.
Yeah.
It's not a well-made movie, but it's so stupid and entertaining that we can and cheesy, and it's obviously also made for children, whereas this is not.
Right.
Like you have to like skew your scores a little bit. You have to grade on a curve a little bit because it's
Yeah.
it's it's this is a movie that was trying to do something that I do not think succeeded. Whereas
No.
like Rookie of the Year, I think succeeded with flying colors on the type of movie they were trying to make.
Yeah. I think you're right that like there is a good movie hidden in this movie somewhere where like there's an alternate universe where like we're talking about this like we talk about Field of Dreams,
I agree.
where it's just
I
an
think this
amazing movie.
I think this had all the ingredients. It has a decent story. It has really good actors. It has a great director. I mean, for those that don't know, Sam Raimi would he directed the Evil Dead stuff. He directed the Spider-Man movies. I mean, he's extremely. It's actually a very strange movie for him because he's a really visual director, and this is kind of his most like kind of boring quote unquote movie. But there's still some flourishes that I see from him in there. But yeah, so glad we watched it. Glad I gave it another shot. But I'm gonna this I'm not adding to my Blu-ray collection.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So, for love of the game, not our greatest watch, but check it out for yourself if you'd like to. It's not
There's
like
there's a lot of people that
horrible.
like this movie. There's a lot
Yeah,
of people that like it. Like and you saw the Rotten Tomato rating is 75%
75.
audience score. So like there's a lot of defenders of this movie, and that's totally fine. It's just not up our alley.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely wasn't for me. Next week we will be looking at 61 with an asterisk, which was, I believe, an HBO Max movie. But that tells the story of the home run chase of 1961 between Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris. So we will be reviewing that movie next week on our baseball to movie segment. But that will do it for this week. We had a lot to talk about since we haven't been on in a couple weeks. We greatly appreciate you tuning in. If you haven't already, make sure to give us a follow, like, subscribe on YouTube and Spotify, at Crosstown Baseball Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. We will be back either later this week or next week with an all new episode after the Crosstown Classic. Let's hope for a good series and ideally a Cubs sweep.
Or a White Sox holy victory.
Yeah. Everything's holy for the White Sox right now.
When I'm wearing this hat, it is.
Yeah, when he's wearing the hat, it is. But that'll do it for this week. Thanks so much again for tuning in. For Matt, I'm Kevin, and always I can't speak today, and never. I don't know what's going on.
It's the hat, Kevin.
It must be. It must be having its powers on me.
Well,
But
I'll
anyways,
start it this week. Go Sox.
Yeah. Go Cubs. So long, everyone.